All right, so are you ready to dive deep?
I am.
Okay, good, because we had a lot of people write in and ask us to really unpack No More Mr. Nice Guy.
It's a classic.
It is this book by Dr. Robert Glover. So we're going to tackle that today.
Awesome.
And I think this is something that a lot of us can relate to. At least I know I can. Have you ever felt like you're putting everyone else's needs before your own? And like you're always trying to be the nice guy.
Yeah, for
And then
sure.
you end up feeling kind of resentful or taken advantage of?
Absolutely.
Well, this deep dive is for you because we're going to really dissect this whole nice guy syndrome and see what it's all about, what the downsides are, and if there's a way to break free.
Yeah.
So first of all, what is this nice guy syndrome? What are we even talking about here?
Well, on the surface, it seems pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, like you're just a nice person. What's wrong with that?
Exactly. But Glover argues that there's a lot more going on beneath the surface.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
He describes this pattern of behaviors and beliefs that characterize the nice guy. And these guys, they're often people pleasers. They avoid conflict at all costs.
Oh, I know a few people like that.
Right. And they tend to suppress their own needs and emotions, especially anger.
So they're like putting on this mask of niceness, but underneath there's all this stuff bubbling.
Exactly. And that's where the problems start to arise because all that unexpressed stuff, it doesn't just disappear.
Right.
It can manifest in unhealthy ways like resentment, passive aggressiveness,
Oh, yeah, I've definitely seen that.
or even self-sabotage. And Glover argues that this nice guy syndrome, it often stems from childhood experiences.
Interesting. So it's not just like a personality quirk, there's a deeper root to it.
Yeah. He suggests that a lot of these patterns develop in childhood, where boys learn that suppressing their needs and being the good boy is the way to get approval, especially from mom.
So it's like a survival strategy that kind of backfires in adulthood.
Right. Because in childhood, it might work. You're the good kid, you don't cause any trouble, and you get praised for it. But then you carry that into adulthood.
Makes sense.
And suddenly you're in relationships where you're constantly trying to please.
And never really being your true self.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've kind of painted this picture of the nice guy. But what are some specific examples? Like, how does this actually play out in real life?
Well, think about the guy who's always doing favors for everyone, even when it means sacrificing his own time and energy.
Oh, yeah, the classic yes man.
Right. He might stay late at work to help a colleague or constantly go out of his way for friends, even if it means neglecting his own needs.
And he's doing all this with a smile on his face, but deep down he's fuming.
Exactly. Or another example might be the guy who's afraid to express his true feelings, especially if they're negative. Like if he's upset or angry with his partner.
He'd rather just bottle it up.
Yeah. He doesn't want to rock the boat or cause conflict, so he keeps it all inside. But then that can lead to resentment and passive-aggressive behavior.
So it's like he's creating this pressure cooker of emotions that's bound to explode at some point.
Exactly. And one of the key concepts that Glover introduces is the idea of the covert contract.
Okay, I've heard this term thrown around. What exactly does that mean?
It's this unspoken agreement that the nice guy has with the world. Like he believes that if he's nice enough, if he sacrifices enough, then he'll be rewarded.
So he's expecting something in return for his niceness,
Yeah.
even if he never says it out loud.
Yeah. And the problem is the other people involved, they're not aware of this contract, so he ends up feeling resentful when his expectations aren't met.
Right. Because in his mind, he's done all these things. He's been the good guy. So he deserves to be happy, loved, successful, whatever it is he's seeking.
Precisely. And when those things don't materialize, he starts to blame others or feel like he's been victimized.
So this whole nice guy thing, it's not as innocent as it seems on the surface, is it?
Not at all. It can actually be quite damaging, both to the nice guy himself and to his relationships.
So how do you break free from this pattern? Like if you're listening and you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is me, what's the way out?
Well, Glover outlines a whole program for recovery, and it involves a lot of self-awareness and personal growth.
Okay.
But one of the key themes is this idea of reclaiming your masculinity.
Now hold on a second, because I know masculinity can be a loaded term. What does Glover actually mean by that?
He's not talking about being macho or aggressive or anything like that. It's more about getting in touch with your authentic self, owning your needs and desires, and learning to express them assertively.
So it's about finding that inner strength and confidence, not putting on a performance.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes more sense. But how do you actually do that? Like, where do you even begin?
Well, there are a lot of different tools and exercises that Glover provides in the book, but one of the most important things is to start developing self-awareness. Like, pay attention to your thoughts and feelings. Notice those patterns where you're people-pleasing or avoiding conflict.
So basically, become aware of those moments when you're being the nice guy.
Right. And then once you start to see those patterns, you can challenge them. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? What am I hoping to gain? Is this really serving me?
It's almost like you have to become a detective in your own life,
Right.
uncovering those hidden motives.
Absolutely. And another important step is to start setting boundaries. Learn to say no without feeling guilty.
Oh, that's a tough one for a lot of people, myself included.
It is, but it's crucial for breaking free from the nice guy pattern. Because when you're constantly saying yes to everyone else, you're essentially saying no to yourself.
You're neglecting your own needs and desires.
Exactly. And that leads to resentment and burnout.
So it sounds like a lot of this comes down to honesty, both with yourself and with others.
You got it. Glover talks about the importance of radical honesty, which is about owning your truth, expressing your feelings directly, and dropping the act.
So no more hiding behind that mask of niceness.
Right, because when you're being authentic and expressing your needs, you're creating the space for genuine connection.
Instead of those covert contracts and unspoken expectations.
Exactly. You're building relationships based on mutual respect and understanding.
Now, I know we've been focusing on the negative aspects of the nice guy syndrome, but is there anything positive about being nice?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, being kind and compassionate are wonderful qualities,
Right.
but it's about finding that balance. It's about being nice because you genuinely want to be, not because you're seeking approval or trying to manipulate the situation.
So it's the intention behind the niceness that really matters.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the key takeaways from Glover's book. It's not about becoming a jerk or being selfish. It's about learning to assert your needs and be true to yourself while still being respectful of others.
It's about finding that sweet spot between being a doormat and a dictator.
Exactly. It's about being authentic and empowered.
So this deep dive has been a real journey. We've explored the dark side of being nice, uncovered those covert contracts, and realized that true strength comes from embracing your authentic self, setting boundaries, and communicating honestly.
Yeah.
It's not easy work, but it's definitely worth it.
I think so.
So as we wrap up, here's a final thought for you to chew on. Think about a relationship in your life, maybe with a partner, friend, or family member, where you feel like you're constantly giving more than you're receiving. Maybe you're even feeling a bit resentful.
Yeah.
How could you apply these principles of honesty, self-respect, and boundary setting to shift that dynamic? It's a challenge, for sure, but it's a path towards a more fulfilling and authentic life. And who knows, you might even inspire the other person to do the same.
That's a great point.
All right, that's it for our deep dive on No More Mr. Nice Guy. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep being your awesome selves.
Awesome. Bye.
See ya.